Hey friends and students, Mrs. Dando here, the school counselor at Ridgeview Elementary School. And if you're watching this right now, hey, I'll be your school counselor too.
Well, thank you.
It's summer break and we can still do some social emotional learning all summer long. Remember that social emotional learning is just kind of a big old fancy grown-up way to say we're learning about our thoughts, our feelings, how to take care of ourselves and others, and how to be a better friend, a better learner, and a better part of our community.
Oh, I get it.
Last week, I took a moment to introduce myself to you and teach you a little bit about who I am, what I do, and how I can help you. And we started learning about healthy coping skills. There are healthy, positive ways that we can deal with overwhelming, stressful, difficult feelings, and there are also some unhealthy ways to deal with those feelings too.
I don't get it.
And today I want to share a little bit with you about a feeling I think a lot of us deal with, and that feeling is anxiety. You might even hear people use the word worry. Now, worry is anytime we're nervous about what's going to happen, or fearful or scared about not knowing what's going to happen or how things could turn out. But anxiety is when that worry happens over and over and it kind of starts to take over you. We can often feel it in our body when our breathing gets hard. Our heart might beat fast. Our hands get kind of sweaty and clammy. We might even feel a little sweaty too. Some kids get stomach aches or headaches or maybe even feel like they're gonna throw up. Anxiety can show up in a lot of different ways in a lot of different people. Some people, when they feel anxious, they actually look kind of angry. They might be kind of grumpy. They might stop talking to their friends. They might just not seem like themselves. Chances are most of us have felt anxiety at some point or another. These feelings can happen to pretty much anybody, and it's okay to feel it every so often. But sometimes anxiety and worry takes over our brain, over our body, and over our life.
That's not great.
We're feeling really anxious and worried and stressed. It can be so hard to do our best. It can be hard to do our best at school. It can be hard to do our best at home. It can be hard to do our best at sports or music or the things that we love.
Boy, that stinks.
In fact, we might feel anxious about the things that we love. Some of you out there are great at sports. I am not one of them. Some of you out there are incredible at singing or playing an instrument. But when you get in front of people, or when it's time for you to start that game, worry, anxiety, stress, they get the best of you. And you turn out to not play the game so well. Or your voice cracks in the middle of your solo.
So make my wish come true. Yeah.
Worry and stress and anxiety can even get the best of us at school. When we're taking a test, when we're reading in front of the class, when we need to raise our hand to ask a question or answer a question in the classroom.
You did not raise your hand.
See how much that could get in the way of you being your best self? So what do we do, Miss Dando? Well, we can always use a coping skill. Last week we talked about a couple different coping skills. Our circle of support, exercising, deep breathing, meditating, finding a calm, quiet spot, talking it out with somebody. But today, I want to share a coping skill that works well for a lot of different feelings, but definitely works super well when we're talking about worry and anxiety.
Getting kind of tense, aren't you?
And guess what? It's another circle.
A perfect circle.
Another circle. Last time we talked about circle of support, but this time we're gonna talk about circle of control. No, I'm not gonna control you, and you're not gonna control me. We are not a bunch of robots. But wouldn't that be so cool if we were?
Squirrel.
Anyways, your circle of control. When we are worried, nervous, scared, fearful, and stressed out, we can feel out of control. Anybody been there before? In fact, most adults have been there before. Stuff happens. Feelings happen. We can just feel, well, out of control. There are always going to be things in life that we cannot control.
Oh yeah,
That sounds fantastic.
We're not in control of everything, and that's probably a good thing. I mean, I don't really want a bunch of kids in control of the whole world.
Squirrel.
Back on track again, back on track. But when we use our circle of control, we can actually start to feel more in control. And it's pretty simple. Here are 3 steps to help you with your circle of control. On the inside of your circle are the things that you can control. The first thing I want you to do is picture a circle. Now on the outside of that circle, I want you to picture a bigger circle. On the inside of that circle are things that you can control. And in that big circle on the outside are things that you can not control. So, step 1 to feel a little bit more control when you're worried, anxious, and stressed out, focus your thoughts, your time, and your energy on the things you can control. Those things in the middle circle. What are some things that you are in control of? Step 2, try not to focus, worry, or stress about the things that are not in your control. And step 3, use some positive thinking. Whoa, Mrs. Dando, none of that made sense. Rewind. Don't worry, I'm gonna break it down for you. How about first we think about a couple things that could be in your control and some things that are out of your control. That will help you when you go sit down to think about your circle of control. So I'm gonna say a few things and you tell me, is that in your control or is that out of your control? Okay. For the first one, let's think of what other people say about me. Is that in your control or out of your control? Out of your control, right? You don't have any control over what people say about you. Okay, next one, your actions. Is that in your control or out of your control? Hopefully you said in your control. You're in charge of your body and the things that you do with it. Okay, are you getting the hang of this? Let's try a few more. How you treat others. Yep, in your control. The weather. Yeah, out of your control. Studying for a big test that's coming up. Yep, in your control. Practicing for a big game that might be coming up. Boop. You're right, in your control. Somebody in your family getting sick. Yeah, out of your control. Your friends arguing and fighting all the time. Yep, again, out of your control. Are you getting the hang of this? The things in our control are the things that we're gonna focus on because it's gonna help us reach our goals. It's gonna help us stay calm. The things out of our control, we're gonna set a limit of how much we think about those things because we're not in charge of them. We can't really do anything about them. And thinking about them isn't gonna make them go away, isn't gonna make them get better. It's just gonna make us feel more stressed out. When we focus on the things that we are in control of, we can focus on things that help us feel better about ourselves, get through stressful times, and be okay. The fact that I have a big test coming up is out of my control, but spending time studying is in my control. I'm gonna focus on that. My grandma or grandpa being really, really sick is not in my control. It's out of my control. But making them a card or a gift or writing them a letter is in my control. So I'm gonna focus on that. See where I'm going with this? So step 1, focus your time and energy on the things you are in control of. And step 2, limit the time that you spend thinking about things you're not in control of. And step 3, use some positive thinking when you are super focused on the things out of your control.
What?
Positive thinking is just focusing our brain and our thoughts on positive, good things. So when our brain is stuck in worry mode, it's stuck in anxiety, and it's focused on those things that we are not in control of, I like to use this what if question. What if everything works out for the best? When you're focused on something that's really worrying you, I want you to ask yourself, what if? What if this works out for the best? What if nothing goes wrong? What if everything works out perfect?
Everything is awesome.
And imagine what would happen if everything worked out the best that it could. This is gonna help get your brain out of that negative thinking pattern. I sometimes call it stinking thinking. It's like when our brain just keeps thinking all the bad stuff that's gonna happen. That's just gonna make the worry grow and grow and grow and grow and grow and grow. Instead, try that positive what if question. What if this all works out the best that it could? So now that you know what a circle of control is, try it out wherever you are. In the middle of your circle, what are some things in your life that you are in control of? And on the outside of that circle, what are some things that you are not in control of? And if you find that you're having a really hard time focusing on the things that are in your control and your brain keeps thinking about the stuff that's out of your control, talk to your grown-up at home, your classroom teacher, or maybe even come find your school counselor, which could be me. And if you see me around, let me know how you're using your circle of control to deal with some of your big feelings. Well, that's all the time that I have for you today. But before I go, just remember, you belong, you matter, and you are worthy. See you around.